Right now, imagine you wake up tomorrow with a high fever. You can barely get out of bed, your phone is right beside you. You know someone would come help if you asked, but you don't. Instead, you convince yourself you'll be fine. You'll figure it out, you'll get through it without bothering anyone. Most people call that independence. Your nervous system calls it survival. Because what if the strongest part of your personality is actually the oldest defense mechanism in your brain? Not something you were born with, something you learned long before you were old enough to understand why. Your brain doesn't simply remember childhood, it adapts to it. Every repeated experience teaches your nervous system what the world is like, whether people can be trusted, whether asking for help is safe, whether emotions bring comfort or consequences. Those lessons don't disappear when childhood ends. They become the operating system running quietly underneath adulthood. And for many people, that operating system produces 5 remarkably predictable patterns. Sign 1. You refuse help, even when you desperately need it. Someone offers to carry something heavy. Your immediate response? I'm good. A coworker offers to help finish a project. No worries. You're overwhelmed, exhausted, running on empty. Yet accepting help feels strangely uncomfortable. Sometimes almost threatening. Why? Because research on adverse childhood experiences suggests that children raised in unpredictable or emotionally unavailable environments often learn that dependence is risky. If the people you relied on repeatedly disappointed, ignored, or punished your needs, your brain stopped expecting support, not because it wanted to, because it adapted years later. Your nervous system still mistakes independence for safety. Sign 2. Being emotionally vulnerable feels physically uncomfortable. Someone asks, "Are you okay?" Before you even think, you smile. "I'm fine," even when you're not. That reaction often happens before conscious thought, because your amygdala, one of your brain's primary threat detection systems, can learn that emotional exposure predicts emotional pain. If expressing sadness once led to rejection, criticism, or emotional neglect, your brain quietly concludes, hide first, feel later. Today, the danger may be gone, but the alarm still rings. Sign 3. You become everyone's support system, except your own. You're dependable, reliable, always checking on everyone else. You remember birthdays, answer late-night phone calls, drop everything when someone needs you. But when your own life begins falling apart, you disappear, you isolate, you convince yourself you don't need anyone. Developmental psychologists have long observed that children forced into emotional self-sufficiency often become highly competent adults. Not because they enjoy carrying everything, because usefulness became safety. Helping others felt secure, receiving help felt unfamiliar, sometimes even dangerous. Those first 3 signs all point to the same hidden belief. If I need less, I can never be disappointed. But the next 2 signs are even harder to recognize because they don't feel like trauma. They feel like personality. Sign 4, peace makes you nervous. Everything is finally going well. The relationship feels healthy. Work is stable. Nothing is obviously wrong. Yet, something inside you starts scanning, waiting, preparing, almost expecting disaster. Psychiatrist and trauma expert Dr. Bessel van der Kolk has described how chronically stressed nervous systems often struggle to recognize safety. When chaos becomes familiar, calm can feel unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels dangerous. Your body isn't responding to the present, it's responding to the past. The absence of danger doesn't automatically feel safe. Sometimes it feels suspicious. Sign 5. You struggle to ask for emotional reassurance, even from people you trust. You know exactly what you need: a hug, a conversation, someone to simply say, "I'm here," but the words never leave your mouth. Instead, you convince yourself it doesn't matter. You'll handle it, like you always have. Research consistently links chronic emotional suppression with elevated stress hormones, higher blood pressure, and increased inflammation. Your body continues carrying emotions your voice never released because somewhere deep inside, your nervous system still believes silence is safer than asking. Now step back and look at these 5 signs together: refusing help, hiding vulnerability, overfunctioning, distrusting peace, swallowing your emotional needs. Notice something: none of them are weaknesses. Every one of them once solved a problem. A child living in an unpredictable world doesn't get to choose their coping strategies. Their nervous system chooses for them. And if those strategies kept them emotionally alive, The brain keeps using them long after the danger disappears, which leads to the question most people never ask. If these behaviors were once survival skills, when do they stop protecting you and start imprisoning you? Because the same independence that once kept you safe can quietly become the wall that keeps love, support, and genuine connection out. The strongest people aren't the ones who never need anyone. They're the ones whose nervous systems eventually learn the difference between the people who hurt them and the people who won't. Real healing isn't becoming less dependent. It's becoming safe enough to depend on the right people. Your childhood taught your brain one version of the world. Adulthood gives you the chance, very slowly, to teach it another. Maybe independence was never your personality. Maybe it was your armor, and armor is incredible during a battle. But eventually, someone has to teach the body that the war is over. Subscribe if this changed how you see yourself, and watch this next. Because your brain is still protecting you from dangers that no longer exist.